no question about who the two best drivers were in the first round of the Cup Series playoffs. It was Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson. And we'll talk today on NASCAR American Motor Mouths. Are those two drivers now emerging as the championship favorites? Hey, Nate Ryan here with Kyle Petty and Parker Kligerman talking NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. And Parker, we'll start with you. Denny Hamlin closes the round of 16 with a win at Bristol, a dominant win. Kyle Larson right in his tracks. He opened the round of 16 with a win at Darlington. Either of those guys could have won at Kansas. Does this feel like it's shaping up as Hamlin v. Larson for the NASCAR championship in 2023?
Well, I got to get something off my chest because I've said it for the last 5 years. I said it at the beginning of this year. I even texted him this. I've said forever, it is Denny Hamlin's year until it isn't. And so what I mean by that is every year is Denny Hamlin's year because he's consistently one of the top 5 best drivers in this series. He has a team that I would put up against almost anyone in this series. I'm led by Chris Gabehart, who I think is one of the most intelligent crew chiefs there is in this sport. And so I think all those things combined, puts him in a position where it's always his year. If they can put it together and find the groove that they have at times that we've seen where they go out there and win races or just dominate races or find a way, like at Kansas, they were probably not the best car to start, but they improved consistently and then had themselves in position without a late race yellow. They were going to win that race as the best car at the time that it mattered. So, I just think this race team is a very impressive race team. Denny Hamlin has very few weaknesses, and some of that he went to work on. You talk about road courses, what he's done to get better at those places. So, this team to me is the model of what it takes to be a successful NASCAR Cup Series team. And so, yes, they are absolutely a favorite. Now, going up against Kyle Larson, I think that is a team that is absolutely at the same level. But, it really comes down to finding the places that Larson and that team can limit the mistakes, right? I think if you look at these two teams, speed-wise, Larson is going to be right up there with them. But I often see a 5 team that has moments that are a little bit below what their ability is, right? And, I wouldn't say that. I can't say it's not the same for Denny with some of the speeding penalties he's had in the past, right? With that times he's done those things. But I think the 5 team is on par, and it's really going to be up to both of these heavyweight teams to excel and be perfect to beat each other.
Listen, no truer statement than it's Denny's year until it isn't. And that's a great way to put it. Because here's the thing. Denny Hamlin could be 3-0 right now. He could have walked off the first stage. He had the best car at Darlington, I felt. And they had an issue. Obviously, he thought he had a tire or a wheel loose. He had the best car, or at least one of the best cars, and I felt like the best car at Kansas. Could have won there, and he wins at Bristol. I think what we've seen is Kyle Larson is picking up the crumbs of what Denny's leaving on the table right now. I'm sorry. Kyle Larson is best of the rest. Denny Hamlin is in another league right now, and I think he's in another league in his head, and I talk about headspace all the time. Denny Hamlin, the comments he made to the fans and to Marty Snyder after the Bristol race shows I don't care what people think about me this year. I don't care. I'm not doing this for anybody else. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for Denny Hamlin. I'm comfortable being who I am. I'm comfortable in my own skin. And I think that's the difference in who we see this year as Denny Hamlin going into the playoffs and who we've seen in the past going into the playoffs. He's kind of let other people get in his head. Right now, he's the only guy in his head. He is the only guy up there. And he's doing an incredible job. His only weakness is pit road. Finding it, getting off of it, leaving his pits, getting into his pits, speeding. That's his only weakness. If he can clean that up, he could walk off like we saw Tony Stewart do a few years ago. He could come through these playoffs and never be touched because I don't think anybody's laid a glove on him yet. I think they've created situations for themselves that have taken the win away from them, but they've not been beaten on the racetrack as far as I've seen. They've not been outrun on the racetrack. And that's a huge statement, I think, 3 races into the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's what Denny has said as well, KP, that he feels like his team can win anywhere right now. Doesn't matter what track, road courses, mile and a half, short tracks, and he's driving better than he ever has. But I want to go back to what you were saying about the mind aspect, because that fascinates me as well. I want to get both of your takes on this. But I'll start with you, KP, because you just touched on it. That swagger that he's showing, the understated swagger that we all know is Denny Hamlin, that nonchalance of I'm the best. What is everybody else going to do about it? Does that give him an added edge? I mean, like, how does that help, I guess, as a driver? Like, we always talk about confidence. Is it just as simple as, you see it, you can be it? Is there just an inner sense of confidence, belief that Denny has now that is just going to set him apart in 2023?
You know what? It's all of that. And something that we can't touch on. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why it's just now showing up. How many times have we seen Denny in a presser, in a press conference somewhere where somebody throws something at him, or Kevin Harvick says something to him, and all of a sudden it's deer in headlights. He has no response. He doesn't know how to come back. He doesn't know anything to say. How many times have we seen Denny get down and have the best car in a playoff situation, and all of a sudden, to be honest, choke? How many times have we seen it? We've seen it year after year after year. But the Denny Hamlin that stepped out of those cars is not the Denny Hamlin that steps out today. He does have that swagger. Why that confidence at this age, at this point? Maybe it's the 50-plus wins. Maybe it's all the stuff that he's done with 2311. He's shown himself in some ways that I can branch out and be more than just who I was. I can be somebody different. But he has changed. I honestly believe, watching him walk through the garage area, listen to him talk, listening to his podcast, he has changed. And it's not about anybody else this year but Denny Hamlin. In his mind, it's about Denny Hamlin. Who did I beat? I beat everybody. And that's what he has to do. He has become the Denny Hamlin that can beat everybody. And it is phenomenal to watch this transition. Listen, if he doesn't win this year, go ahead and mark it down. He's never going to win, because he's in that place in his head that he can take it all this year and take it big.
I'll agree with that, KP. I think it was really, really well said. And I think another aspect of all this, aside from the bravado, which I think is awesome, it's so classic Denny. I hope he never loses that. There is the confidence factor, as you said, Nate, which is such a powerful thing for race car drivers. But I think there's another part of this that you look at his standing in the series as a team owner now, the podcast. I think all these things show that he's sort of the leader, right, of the drivers amongst NASCAR in a lot of ways. And he's kind of taken this role of being the one to say, put his hand up and speak for the drivers and speak for the team owners and to be very, involved in the sport from a lot of different levels aside from just driving, which I think he's always said, right? He loves chaos. He enjoys chaos. They succeed in chaos. But I think this is different than chaos. This is healthy, not distractions, but areas to put your brain and focus on that are all, encouraging you to be this person that has a lot of confidence in the sport, because you know how every facet of it works. You're a part of a lot of different parts of it. And therefore, when you get into that mode of having to be the race car driver and be the best driver you can be, he's ready for it. And he has that clear mind to do it. So I agree. I think it's always his year till it isn't. And I think this might be one of the best years he's had and best chances he's had in his entire career to finally go get that elusive championship.
Thank you for watching NASCAR America Motor Mouths, presented by Toyota.
Hi, I'm Parker Kligerman. For more access like this from Pit Road, be sure to click and subscribe to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel.